Good evening. First of all, thank you very much to the League of Women Voters to host this event and the Houghton City Fire Hall. My name is Joshua Saaranen. I'm a fourth generation Copper Country resident. Just to give you a brief background, I started my law enforcement career in 2004 after graduating from Gilgibet Community College and Northern Michigan University Regional Police Academy. I started off at the Forsyth Township Police Department in Marquette County. I wanted to move home here. I was lucky enough to be able to get a job under Sheriff McLean, where I started as a road deputy, working in corrections, the road, became a sergeant. I've worked Marine ORV patrol. I had the opportunity to become a narcotics detective for a couple of years on Upset when that team first started. So I worked as a narcotics detective for 3 years. At the end of that time period, I was welcomed back to the sheriff's office with the opportunity to become the detective lieutenant of the office. So in that role, I oversaw all the investigations and then the road patrol. Last fall, the untimely death of our boss, Sheriff McLean. I was appointed sheriff of Houghton County to be your sheriff. I was honored and still am honored to be in that role. Over the last year, we've had a really solid foundation. We have a really good group of guys and gals at the sheriff's office. So that makes my job a lot easier. They're serving the public, protecting the public. And one of my first goals was, after losing a great leader, of course, is to rebuild the health of our department. I believe that in the last year we've done and accomplished. Morale is high in the department. My passions have been to enforce narcotics. And more recently in the last year, one of the not exciting things, but unfortunately necessary team is a human trafficking team. I work really closely with the 4 county sheriffs in the area. That team, unfortunately, we've arrested 3 people who want to, essentially, for the lack of better terms, is to victimize the young people in our area. It's my goal to protect our children. Worked really hard in the last year to try to get in the schools more, do a lot of training. COVID really set us back a little bit to be able to do a lot of in-person training, but over the last, of course, the last 6 months, we've been back in the schools. We've been doing training, active shooter training. I've been a member of that team for the last 10 years. Had the opportunity to help train hundreds of teachers, civilians, and businesses throughout the county to respond in an unfortunate act of violence. My goal in the future, obviously, is not only to protect and be tough on crime for Houghton County, but also to serve all the people working hand in hand with our victim advocacy groups, with the prosecutor's office, and all the other law enforcement agencies in the county. I've got a great relationship with all of those entities and look forward to those continued relationships. Some of the biggest challenge, obviously, is going to be in the future coming up here, the proposal of building a new jail. It's been on the table for many, many, many years. I had the pleasure to serve on the group, the advisory committee under the Village of South Range, where I was a trustee at the time. And I think that's a great opportunity in the future that we really need to come together as a community with groups like the League of Women Voters, all the communities, to make sure that we're going to be building an efficient jail, not only efficient, but safe for the inmates and safe for the employees. It doesn't have to be a grand scale project. It has to be efficient. Like I said, it's got to make sense for what we see in our community. And I'd be happy to answer any questions further. I could talk about that in great length, but if I can fill you in on some numbers and what I've seen over the years and where I can see try to project where we're going to be. So I'm excited that the Board of Commissioners has started their first step in signing an agreement to purchase the Sharon Avenue property. I look forward to continuing to work with the Board of Commissioners, who I believe I have a great relationship with, and the community, to make sure that we have a safe jail. A jail, of course, is one of my main responsibilities, and a healthy community needs a jail. So I'll be looking for a lot of input. Like I said, afterwards, if anybody'd like to talk about any of these things, I would appreciate it. And I'm just asking for the pleasure and the honor to continue serving all of the people in Houghton County As a constitutional sheriff, I want to protect everybody's rights. And I thank you very much.
Hello and thank you all for coming. I am Roger E. Sullivan. I am your independent candidate for Houghton County Sheriff. I'd like to start by thanking the Houghton Fire Department for having a location that fits our needs, the League of Women Voters of the Copper Country for this opportunity to speak and for everything they do, and everyone who voted for me in 2020. Without your support, I would not be here today. Last but not least, to all the veterans who have preserved our freedoms and liberties, thank you. To learn more about my campaign, you can find me on Facebook under Roger E. Sullivan for Houghton County Sheriff. For anyone else with questions, concerns, and especially comments on what you'd like or expect from your local sheriff's department, please email me at sullivanin2022@yahoo.com. Now a little about myself. I'm running a nonpartisan campaign as an independent candidate. I am not accepting campaign contributions, and my campaign is 100% a local grassroots movement. You will not see any campaign signs or paid advertising. I'm trying to lead by example by taking politics and money out of our local law enforcement. In 2020, I ran as an independent candidate for sheriff. I believe that something as important as the position of sheriff, that partisan politics should not play a part. I'm a licensed builder, general contractor since 2006. As a business owner, I started studying the construction laws of Michigan legislature. The more I studied, the more addicted I became to learning more about the laws. Learning and becoming knowledgeable in all aspects of business has educated me and left me with some very important assets going forward. I am credible, reputable, and follow a fact-based analysis to overcome everyday problem solving. I set my emotions aside. My high standard for ethics and integrity is a lead trait that has driven me to be the person I am today. At an early age, I thought I would become an attorney. Even though I chose a different career, the passion for law and justice never left me. That passion may have been planted in me at a very early age, possibly from my grandfather, who was a police chief, or from my sister, who gave nearly 2 decades to law enforcement. Either way, I am here today to fight for the people of Houghton County as their next sheriff. As your new sheriff, I'll be guided by the Constitution of Michigan, as will be stated in my sworn oath. Some of my focus points as sheriff will be, first and foremost, is to stop public corruption in Houghton County. Many victims know that for far too long, there has been no checks and balances here in Houghton County. Until now, no one has been willing to hold our public officials accountable. No matter what evidence was presented, certain people and groups have gone out of their way to obstruct justice and deny rights of these victims. With me as your sheriff, your rights and liberties will be restored. I will open the sheriff's department to all criminal complaints. This includes criminal complaints against elected officials, public officials, law enforcement, judges, bureaucrats, or any other class of criminal who leaves victims in their wake. I will follow a fact-based investigative procedure and will hand the prosecutor's office more than sufficient evidence to convict all criminals who are guilty. With Sullivan as your sheriff, the good old boy club days are over, as guilty parties will be held accountable no matter who they are. I also want to educate and assist victims about their rights. I don't see victims getting legal support that is available for them through the past legislation. Upon becoming sheriff, I will immediately put a stop to all arbitrary laws in Houghton County. No more will preferable treatment be tolerated in our local justice or judicial system. If we, the people of Houghton County, are going to be able to completely enjoy our freedom and liberties, we need to address the above mentioned in a serious manner. Community projects that I'd like to get involved with. I'd like to organize a Junior Explorer program to bring the youth of our community into a cooperative program with the Sheriff's Department. Working on getting the recidivism rate to drop, I'd like to work with the local resources to train and educate inmates so upon their release, they can be assets to our community. In April of 2023, Michigan's automatic expungement laws will be taking effect. This will give thousands of people second chances at their path in life. I'd like to educate inmates and possibly repeat offenders on the benefits of life outside criminal activity, focusing how this time who I are in now is a once in a lifetime opportunity to get their life back on track, and how important it is right now not to squander this opportunity. Thank you all for attending.
Good evening. I'd like to thank the Women's League of Voters for giving me the opportunity to speak with you all this evening. I'm an Air Force veteran with administrative and government experience. I was stationed in the Washington, D.C. area. I have always been a student of government, and it's important to me that local government really does work for the community and its residents. I have a working class background, so I understand the day-to-day lives of people in the Copper Country. I'm a good listener, and I think I'd bring a common sense approach to working with the community and my fellow commissioners to ensure long-term economic growth and well-being for Houghton County. When I'm elected as a Houghton County Commissioner, I will work with the people of Houghton County to bring positive change, like more local jobs, tourism, and better care for our senior citizens, low or no cost broadband internet for senior students and businesses in Houghton County, making maximum use of available federal and state programs. Working together, we can make Houghton County a premier tourist and business hub for Michigan's Upper Peninsula. Thank you all for the opportunity to speak to you tonight. Please enjoy the rest of your evening.
Thank you. First of all, I'd like to thank the league for hosting this. As the other candidates said, it's a great thing you folks put on for the community, and it's very informative, I think, for the voting public. Second thing is, and I'm going to put the sheriff on a spot here, is if you saw the paper in the last couple of weeks, my picture was on the front page. That is not a booking sheet. Booking, I was not arrested. It looks like one. It was very. Several people said, "What are you doing?" But you know. Just, I had to throw it out there, but I think I'm funny. My wife tells me I'm not. But anyway, I'm a lifelong resident of Houghton County. I graduated from Michigan, or excuse me, from Houghton High School, went into law enforcement and worked in the community in Houghton City and the sheriff's office for several years. In 1989, I left law enforcement, went to Michigan Tech and earned a degree in civil engineering technology. I went to Florida. Well, actually, I was here working for UP Engineering for a short while, and winter came and they laid off their field service. We were doing a lot of landfill closures at the time, and a friend of mine, engineer from Florida, called me up and said, "You want to come down here and work on some structures?" It was a structural engineering firm, and I thought, well, let me see, Houghton in the wintertime, Florida in the wintertime. So went down there. Came back in '94, got back into law enforcement, and retired in 2016 from the sheriff's office as the undersheriff 911 coordinator. And then I went on to Michigan Tech as a deputy chief of police there for 5 years. Retired from there in June of 21. Became a county commissioner, which was a longtime goal of mine in 2019. As a deputy in the sheriff's department back in the 80s and 90s, early 90s, I was the union president, and I sat in on a lot of the union negotiations and stuff, and I always had some interest in being a commissioner. Bring on fairness to both sides of the equation, not just one side. So in 2019, the opportunity was there for me to run. I did. I was elected, and I've been the District 5 commissioner since. Right now, I am the vice chair. After Chairman Costco passed away, Commissioner Tickinen, who was the vice chair, was voted in as chair, and myself as vice chair. So I'm serving that right now. I'm loving it. I think the county is going in a very positive direction with this current board we have. We're working on a few goals, as most of you already understand, that the property on Sharon Avenue is a big move forward for the county. The jail project, I go all the way back to year 2000, we first started, but the public should understand that actually in 1985, it was determined that the county needed a new jail all the way back to 85. And I know since I've been back involved in 2000, we've had 3 attempts and 3 failures. I think that part of that was the location. being in a residential community, which it's always been, but I think it's still an issue. But now being on Sharon Avenue, with the potential of being on Sharon Avenue, opens up a lot of opportunity. The land that we were looking for, Commissioner Jensen and I were charged with finding a location within the city or close to the city that would work with the township on. This property is in a township right now, but we are working with the township that once we purchase it, that they will work with us for the 425 Act, and then potentially if the actual annexation of the property. It's 5 to 7 acres, which the engineers tell us we need for a county jail with expansion capabilities and future courthouse if the public deems that we need a courthouse in the future. But please understand that this just because we're buying the property doesn't mean we're going forward with the jail. We still have to get the public's vote for millage for the jail. So it's still going to be an issue down the road, a battle to fight, but at least we're laying the first bricks to getting it going. We also have issues with childcare in our community. That's just really popping up now, and we are looking at that. We put some money aside out of our ARPA funds for the to help assist some type of research and development of it, and we are working on trying to move that forward. The transfer station is another big issue with me. Not privatizing it. I think we would like to keep it as a county-owned facility with recycling in the future, expanding recycling opportunities, and at least look into it and see what it is. It may be privatized. I'm not for it, but I would like to make sure that we research all avenues of recycling and see where we can go with it and the cost of it. Thank you.
I'm Taryn Mason, the Voting Services Director of the League of Women Voters of the Copper Country. I would like to thank the candidates for participating tonight and for the audience for joining us. We encourage everyone to vote on November 8th. The polls are open at 7, close at 8 p.m. If you're not registered to vote, you can do so online or at the you can register the day of the election. We are going to, at this point, for the next half hour or so until 7 o'clock, all of the audience can move over to ask the candidates questions, talk with them, pick up campaign materials. And on your way out, be sure to pick up, we've got a League of Women Voters table. We have some voters guide, local voters guide that came out in the paper last Friday. So we have some extra copies there and some other information to pick up. So thank you all for coming tonight, and please visit with the candidates.